Hi, everybody. This is day 1563. Day 1563 days. And wow, it was one heck of a week. Oh, we're already at midnight. Um, New week at hand. And we get an extra hour. Yeehaw. Okay, so. Wow. I really don't like daylight savings, but I'll take this extra hour. So it has been 1,563 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss. It was a code red, an internal order, an order by his command to have him murdered. Um, the cover up, yeah, and the cover up. And don't forget, 4 years, we're not just saying this, and it's shocking every time because the accusation is so big. Richard's case is one of the biggest in U.S. history, right up there with JFK, right up there with JFK, the assassination. And I kid you not, it takes our breath away because Richard was a whistleblower, young, beautiful, volunteer soldier with morals. He had morals. Um, he had a foundation for his morals. I know that because I'm his mother, and he was tough. He was tough um, on his stand, and we knew. We knew when the Army didn't contact us. We knew when the Stars and Stripes put out their first article about Richard. We knew that they had done something really bad to our son. We knew that it was a cover up. And we, but you have to have evidence, right? You have to presume innocent until proven guilty, right? They don't give that to Patrick Crucius, do they? They don't give that to Patrick Crucius. That's a frame job. But and I'm going to get to that. But they didn't give that to Richard either, and they did. But we gave it to the Army, and we were absolutely willing to hear them out. We were absolutely willing to not go to the media, who was, you know, that's funny. That's really funny. We were absolutely willing, but they knew that this was a big green machine and that they had been compromised with the Mexican cartel and with the compromised law enforcement and judicial community in El Paso, and that they were also in a wheel and deal with the media, and that they didn't have to do anything for us. They didn't even have to show us. They didn't, and they got so bold. They knew that they could order the murder of one of their soldiers and cover it up. Um, with the intelligence community, with the media, with the judicial system, that they could even frame them first. Let's just try to frame them and scare them and, try to turn this beautiful elf and, that's what they do. They take our beautiful children and they twist and turn them and dunk them in muck and turn them into an orc. Um, and they tried to do that. It didn't work. It didn't work. He rather have burned his money, quote, this is his quote, burned his money than spend it on horse. Um, that's close quote. That's his quote. These big booty, these big booty female dogs. That was his word. He knew their number. He knew that they were taking advantage of young soldiers coming in there, and and he rather have money than give them anything. Um, and he aspired to be CID. How do I know that? Because for years and years, such a curious soul, and also, he clept out of 6 college credits of college math. He was a you know he wanted to figure out the answer, and he loved investigations. He, of course, I put Sherlock, and then he loved that, and then he went to all the modern day. I mean, I don't want to say, what is it, white collar, and what is this, psych, and all this. Yeah, we listed it years ago. We listed it for everybody, all his favorite shows, and um, he wanted to be a criminal investigator. That's what he wanted to be. And Marlon Soto, CID Marlon Soto, confirmed that Richard had already an inquiry to the CID to become a CID. He already had done that. And Marlon Soto, you should have seen his big old eyes. Now I understand why. Because Marlon Soto's dirty, absolutely dirty, was leading a very dirty office that had tampered with Richard's, and that was housing um, a prime suspect in the very murder of our son, dirty CID agent Tavita Nusa, who has since, December, going over all of our records, seems like before December 2020, he had been relieved, and then I know he lost his badge, and he was separated from the military. So, yeah, so we knew, and we decided that we would, you know, see what they had to say, and we would go there ourselves, and rally and gather evidence. Gather evidence. That's why we have so many records, because that was what we decided to do. The Stars and Stripes. Before then, even. But we got very, very serious when we read the Stars and Stripes article. We absolutely knew that that was a false article, that was a smear job, that was on purpose, and we knew they had done something really bad to Rick. It's been a journey, and we have so much evidence, and the evidence has, of course, connected our son Richard's whistleblowing activities and murder and cover up and obstruction. The obstruction into his investigation, and the tampering with his investigation, retaliation against whistleblower investigation to the individuals involved in the Walmart mass shooting case. Absolutely 100%, there is hard evidence connecting the two cases. And so whatever happens in the Walmart case, we are very interested in it, even though the Army doesn't send anybody to be interested in it. You have the death of Glendon Oakley Jr. That's part of the case. You also have the initial team as part of the case. You have, the entire El Paso Fort Bliss community part of that, and then of course you have the whistleblower complaints of our son Richard Halliday that was the precursor to this orchestrated deflector, uh, deadly, bloody deflector of the investigations and the audits that were a result of Richard's whistleblowing activities. And it just fits, it fits like a glove. It all fits together. All the irregularities, all the circumstantial evidence, all the hard evidence, um, you know, to a line, it all fits. And more information is coming in about the timeline because of this election. More is being revealed what was going on. Other backroom deals, like in June of 20, especially because of what was happening with Vanessa Guillen. They did not want another Guillen situation. Um, and of course, into the July and Richard, of course, in July of 2020. It was a big, let's save our jobs um, at all costs. And the jobs, though, were not those defending the Constitution like their oath mandated them to do. It was compromised with the criminal trafficking and, backroom deals and seals and deals and more deals and seals and gag orders and all that good stuff going on. A compromised court system, a compromised judges, or judges that are not even illegal. Remember Hamilton in Richard's case, and also she's the original um, quote unquote judge, but illegal. She's an imposter. She absolutely needs to be arrested for what she's done. She should have been elected. She was not elected. She's never been elected that I know of, and she just and it's kind of like the same deal with Richard being magistrated. Like, it's like, well, what the hell is a canine cop doing in a parking lot making a traffic stop at midnight when they are a cousin or a related family member of, the caller, the Belen Rocha girl, right? The I rather burn my money than spend it on whores and blow. Um, so yeah, it's kind of like, where's the judge saying something like that? Because that would be appropriate to kind of make sure that it wasn't a frame job. And the same thing with Crucius. Like, Crucius comes in, he seems totally nonverbal. It's really my question now because, for a long time I was asking, hey, is he autistic? Is he autistic? And we were right. We were. He's a severe mental health condition. And when he was a young boy, 3 years old, the neighbors knew that he was severely autistic, that he had a severe mental health condition. He was banging his head on the sidewalk. Um, so Loretta Lynn Hewitt, absolutely, I'm putting together something to share about what Loretta Lynn Hewitt said, that he couldn't possibly. Well, she's just repeating what the witnesses had said, right? The family witnesses and everything, that Patrick Crucius was in special ed, that, he had severe problems, and that the parents, uh, the parents were even told that they should even have not let Patrick Crucius live when he was a child. Um, this kind of testimony, and that he could not possibly have done this alone, and that he was indoctrinated, and you know, it was just jaw dropping because it confirmed how severe his mental health condition is. Anybody that says maybe you shouldn't have let your child live, that means he's very severe, very severe. Very few people, unless he was very severe. And for that being the case, then of course, is he verbal? I haven't heard him speak. I haven't seen him really speak to. I've seen his attorney put things out to him, but I've never seen him speak to his attorneys. I've never seen the judge speak to him. I've never seen him speak to the judge. This is all highly, highly irregular in any court. And, so my question is he nonverbal? Right? Is he nonverbal? And then, the fine motor coordination, to be able to shoot a rifle, to also be in an extreme situation, in a chaotic situation that was described to us, by many of the witnesses from the Cielo Vista Walmart there in El Paso on that day, August 3rd, 2019, which happens to be Dallas Hart's birthday, a prime suspect in the murder of our son, which is very curious. Um, I'm curious about it because I don't think anything, whatever. That will be answered. That will be answered one day. But yeah, so fine motor coordinations to, I mean, the amount of rounds that were fired, and these were large rounds. And then, of course, we've gotten information about brown tip and green tip bullets, and that being special ops, and suspicions of ammunition coming from Fort Bliss, and we know that there were trafficking going on out of Fort Bliss when it comes to weapons and ammunition is a really, really big one. And we know about Nadal Baim offering a bid to the El Paso Police Department for up to $3 million of ammunition. And of course, his connections with the Hart family and all that. It is really, uh, everything gets put together, and for a wider investigation, right? And we're doing it. We're filing it. We're putting forth all of these leads, and um, they have to investigate it. Now, um, there's so much to this, but what I want to say is, could Patrick Crucius do the shooting? Could he possibly pull the trigger? Could he possibly change out the magazines? Could he prepare the rifle? Could he sustain a calm demeanor in a place of chaos? And I know he had hearing protection because, certain frequencies really, really bother individuals with autism. They cannot even go. Uh, One lady that I met, with a teenage daughter that is nonverbal autistic, can't even go in a Walmart because of the frequencies of the refrigeration. So can't even go. It's just too much. And so no wonder he had hearing protection on. But even in the chaos, because to face such strange sights and just all that chaos, I don't think he could have handled it. So we have that picture of him going in to the Walmart, and that needs to be answered because there wasn't any rounds in the background. Those pictures are very interesting. And yet, a few minutes later, he was at the intersection, totally clean, totally unshot. You know, he looked pretty decent compared to what he looks like now. Totally clean shoes, totally clean pants. Ready to surrender himself, which is very interesting because then that means that no law enforcement really saw him do what they say he did, what they accuse him of. And what's is that he surrendered himself to a Hispanic officer. Now, we're told that he's a white supremacist, that he really was enraged. He was enraged. Isn't that what Ernest Christopher Grant said? He was enraged and he was full of hate. And yet, he comes out really nice and puts up his hands and to a Hispanic uh, law enforcement officer and is very kind. I mean, the law enforcement officer didn't even bag his hands and didn't read his told, oh, Miranda rights. I would like to hear that from him. I would like to hear that from him. But it seems like he's nonverbal. I suspect, um, that he is nonverbal. Um, let him speak. I want to hear him speak. And I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong because then the violations that Joe Spencer and his team and Judge Madrano and Hamilton um, and others have done to Patrick Crusius won't be as severe as they are, right? So I'd like to hear him speak. So and remember, this has everything to do with case because clearly this is a frame. Clearly it was orchestrated. Clearly we have some trials ahead of us. I don't think the trials are for Patrick Crusius, though. I think the trials are for other reasons. Because clearly Joe Spencer has violated everything that attorneys should stand for. And, he has two faces. He seems to have told one big fat one, big long nose fat one, to the federal courts. And then double face and say something different to the state court. So the two jurisdictions, he is saying opposite statements. That goes against his duty to candor. I believe that's what it is, duty to candor. Right? He needs to tell the truth to the court. He can't be lying to judges. And yet, clearly, he is compromised, and clearly, he told a lie to somebody. And according to Loretta and Hewitt, it seems to be to the federal court because in this case, it is clear that it has severe autism, that he has a long history of it since he was a child, that it was well known in his neighborhood, that you can talk to him. Look, all I had to do was watch him for a few seconds. I mean, I don't even think it was a minute. And I was like, I think he has autism. There should be medical professionals surrounding just from the beginning. From the beginning. He should have more than one mental health evaluation. He should be absolutely surrounded. This is millions and millions of dollars for this case, and we can't get a mental health evaluation until 2023. And then, where there should be a whole team of medical for Patrick, because we're talking about the death penalty. They wanted to, or they said, I don't think they wanted to, but they said they wanted the death penalty. Well, if you want the death penalty, you better dot your I's and cross your T's. That's how this country works. You better do the medical health evaluations. You better find out and double check it. And double check it. There should be a team of medical professionals around Patrick Cruz. And that there is notebooks, 5 to 7 notebooks of very vital information from witnesses and victims in Loretta Lynn Hewitt's hand, that those are missing, that they are missing out of the DA's office. And now the DA's office is on trial. It looks like they're on trial, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And, this is Joe Spencer. Joe Spencer's like an enemy in disguise, because this is his strategy is to put the DA's office on trial, to try to hide that he knew all along. And don't tell me he didn't. He knew all along that Patrick Crucius had a severe mental health condition that created physical conditions. Look, you can have mental conditions and they will mess with your eyesight. They will mess with your ability to speak. They will mess with so many things. So many things. How could he drive? I want to see his driver's license. Why was his car not registered in Texas? Why was that? It seems to have been registered in New Mexico because it had no front license. So I hope that everyone can see that the media has contributed to not the rage of Patrick Crucius, but that to our perception that he was enraged. And he wasn't. And, you see that with all of the early hearings. He's in a suit. And now they're so desperate. They've thrown out the presumption of innocence, and they have him in full jail gear with chains around his wrists and waist and down his legs to his ankles, and they have a bulletproof vest on him, and he looks unkept. He looks malnourished. He looks abused. And this is what Joe Spencer is allowing for his client with millions and millions of dollars. It's like, go get him a little bit of a hairdresser, put a suit on him, bring him some food, because he's looking at the death penalty. And you have those that are saying, the gag order and saying, let's just bury him under the courthouse, the jailhouse, or whatever, right? No, that's not how this country works. We put any defendant, and they are presumed innocent until, and we haven't even have had a trial yet, and they are creating a Patrick Crucius villain that doesn't exist because he is something very different. And I can say that with confidence now. Was he part of it? Apparently, he was indoctrinated. So Loretta Lynn Hewitt says, but shooters that carried this out. He was like a little puppy dog going along. They they set him up. They framed him. It's it's so obvious. And the delay and the delay and the delay and the delay of the trial also corroborates what we're saying. And the real shooters are at large. They've been at large for over 5 years because of this charade, because of this very expensive dog um, and I would say inhumane, absolutely inhumane. His Patrick Crucius' rights have been violated. And what does this say about our court system, about our law enforcement community against those with special needs? What does that say about them? It doesn't say very good things. And Judge Medrano is compromised, and Joe Spencer is compromised. And we would like to know what really happened. But, and I know that we're going to dig under this, and we'll find Richard's truth. Because Richard's truth is hidden underneath all of this charade and the lies. So it was a really good week. It really showed us a lot what's going on. And, because we had notified days ago right before the trial, or not the trial, but the hearing, we had notified the media that we had put in a complaint against Judge Medrano with the Commission on Judicial Conduct. We sent that to the media. We absolutely, Judge Medrano knows that was an additional complaint against him. And yet, he did not notify the community that the Gold Star family of Richard Halliday has been very discontent with his wrongdoings, and that he is reviewing his own wrongdoings, and we are discontent, or we put in the complaint that he's allowing Patrick Crucius to be paraded around as a villain, and that is illegal. That's illegal, and that he's making these backroom deals and sealing them, and these gag orders, and he has double standards, and that he's not telling the public, he's not being transparent that he has these complaints against him, and reaching out to the public to answer some of our concerns. And that our information that we have shared with Joe Spencer, I mean, we've complained Spencer too, but we've also shared information with him. We shared information with him that Bill Hicks is a usurper, that he is not a real DA, that he's a fake DA. We sent him information about the uh, El Paso Criminal Magistrate Court, that Patrick Cruz was by an illegal impersonator as a judge that wasn't a judge, because they need to be elected, and Penny Hamilton wasn't elected. She is just appointed, and so she was illegal, which really botches the entire case. We let him know that we were dissatisfied with him parading his client around as this in jail clothes and chains and everything, when before, even when he, after the plea deal, as guilty, he was not, he was in a suit. So what's up? What's up with this little show that they're doing? It's not justice. And I think it has everything to do with greed. So, you know, there's so much that we have shared with him, and he could absolutely, oh, that, Patrick Crucius clearly had autism, has autism. And so for a defense attorney, he would like all of that, but he doesn't mention any of that. He is an enemy in disguise. That's what he is. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad what they're doing to the system, because we have a beautiful system, and we have that beautiful Texas Constitution, and we have the beautiful United States Constitution. You got to hug it. You got to hug that flag. Because let me tell you, if they can do this to Crucius, we absolutely have to stand against them on this, because this is such a violation of rights. This is more like third world countries. And Mexico is not happy with this either. I'm getting confidential information coming out from Mexico that's saying they are very unhappy with how El Mayo was brought to the United States in a fake numbered plane, American plane, that the number on the plane was tampered with, and the pilot's name was also a fake name. And they want to know. And so if they can do that to a billionaire, because El Mayo is a billionaire, and it's connected to Richard's case. Okay. 100%. El Mayo is connected to Richard's case. The arrest of El Mayo, what's going on in that case, is connected to Richard's case. Hard evidence. And for them to be able to do that to a billionaire, to go into another country and to steal him out of there. Now, am I saying he's a good guy? I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm talking about law and rights and jurisdiction and sovereignty. And, there's no respect for it. That's scary. Because if they can do that to a billionaire, if they can do that to a whistleblower, or doing what they did to Richard, a whistleblower, United States soldier, that is unprecedented. that they act the way they're acting right now towards our soldiers. It is, it's so bad. And if they could do it to them, then they will do it to anybody. Just come into your house, come across borders, kidnap you, you know, retaliate against you for reporting crimes, and then using the system to cover it up, using the system to order murder, then using the system once again from the fuel to the vehicles to the bribes to everything, um, to code red you. And so it's a really big case. Is should be a worry for all Americans and even Mexicans. Um, and to get justice would be a very good thing, a very good thing for everybody. So we are looking closely at the presidential race. We have endorsed Trump, uh, Donald J. Trump for president. 14 Farm Richard Halliday. We need a new administration. This administration has really let us down. Harris and Biden, when we received the declaration of death, we didn't even receive any kind of letter from them, not even a condolence. Um, no, yeah, it was bad. It's bad. Um, and we did receive condolences, but not from them. And it should be commander in chief, and that would be appropriate. But they have no respect. They have no respect. And Richard was a code red, and that should really raise up some red flags for them. Um, so we have endorsed uh, President Donald J. Trump, and we're looking closely at the election. I hope everybody goes. You're not going to like 100% of any candidate, um, but we need a new administration for all of what's coming because we just got started, right? We're just getting started. First, all these years of collecting evidence, and now, use um, to get our son's remains, and to get accountability for what they did to him. Yeah. Um, so it's a nightmare. Um, so we're looking closely at this race. We looked at the cookie poll, which is very interesting. And if you have the unscientific poll, I guess, for me, I think it's kind of a very interesting poll. There is a bakery, and I believe it's in Minnesota, which is a big swing state, and they sell Trump cookies and Harris cookies. And so right now it's like 2 to 1, in favor. So for every one Harris cookie, 2 Trump cookies are being sold. He's, I think he's more than doubling the sales, and I think that's very, very interesting. So that shows broad support. They've been pretty successful in their. They've never been wrong except for in because they had predicted Trump as the winner, and it was Biden. And I'm like, oh well, what does that say? Because that was I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. Um, Not when you're not campaigning and being in a basement and being 6 feet apart and all of that. I didn't buy it. Um, but I'm a very law-abiding person. I consider myself to be as law-abiding as I possibly can, and very peaceful person. And we've given the military who committed a code murder against our son lots of time, lots of time, and now it's time for accountability. It is, and the right way, using the law, using the system, and so we need the new administration. So it's looking pretty positive for us. Please get out there and vote. Voting is our it is a sacrament. Um, in my opinion, it's a sacrament. So we absolutely have to vote, and yeah, um, and I hope that you wield that power that's been given to you. It's very, very important. And right now they're spending so much money. Oh my gosh, so much money, even on the Senate and the congressional seats. They're spending so much money. It tells you how much your vote means to them. So, and I know, there's all these claims that they can swindle us or whatever, but it seems to be that sometimes things can get too big to rig, too big to rig. So we're looking for, especially now that we know that Judge Medrano is compromised, that Joe Spencer is compromised, that they were involved in backroom deals to make agreements that would obstruct justice in the case, obstruct it from moving forward, and to seal it so that people couldn't look, and to do gag orders that were really only good for Yvonne Rosales. Everybody else can break the gag order, but just not Yvonne Rosales. They just want to cover up their wrongdoing with these seals and gag orders, and then he says he's going to review his own wrongdoings. There's something very wrong with that. Um, so now that we know that he's compromised, now that we know his violations, and now that we know that Joe Spencer is compromised, that he absolutely knew of Patrick Crusius's lack of ability to carry out this murder and, this incident. And yeah, that there are some real, real questions about the way he is being a defense attorney. With him as a defense attorney, who needs an enemy, right? He is definitely the enemy in disguise. And as a defense attorney, run fast. And so, Patrick Crusius seems to be pretty abandoned. They don't even really talk to him. Um, and well, they have those tapes, and that would be very interesting, you know. Um, and if you were wanting to frame somebody and they were facing the death penalty, somebody that's nonverbal, that could not express themselves, would be an ideal candidate for this kind of situation. And it's heartbreaking that they would target a special needs person. Um, and just look at how he surrendered himself clean. I don't even know how long. Was he even in there? How could he even handle it? I just have so many questions. And I know that people involved in the Walmart mass shooting have targeted us. They've targeted Richard's investigation. They've targeted whistleblowers in our son's case. They've targeted us. It's absolutely intertwined, and you know, and let's not forget about Glennon Oakley Jr. You know, this evil has hurt so many, really, so many. So thank you so much. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. And I'll be working on some things, continue to work on them to get out uh, all of the things that happened in the last days. And it really, as horrible as it is, a realization of what they've done, because Judge Madrano should have already recused himself. Um, as horrible as this all is, it needs to come out. We need to face it in order to get the real shooters that are at large and to get those that hurt Richard and hurt the community. And also, you know, in our case, we'd like our son's remains. So thank you so much. God bless you, and I hope that you share everything that I put out there. Thank you so much. Bye bye.